to tell you a story about Apai Aloi and his hunting trip. Now, Apai Aloi was a skilled hunter, particularly when it came to birds. And one day he thought about the idea of not killing the birds. So the next morning he got up very early, packed his blowpipe and his darts, but without poison, and went off into the jungle. He wandered deep, deep, deep into the forest until he came across a tree dripping with ripened figs, and the birds were just surrounding it on the ground, picking up fallen fruit in the branches, and Apai Aloi crouched and shot at the birds, one by one. Now, Apai Aloi had forgotten a cage to put the birds in, so instead he took some string, wrapped it round their feet, and attached it to his loincloth. One by one by one. Now, although he hadn't killed these birds, he had stunned them. But after a while, these birds began to rouse themselves, start to flap their wings, and so lifted Apai Aloi off the ground, up high above the treetops, and across the valleys. Now, with all this flapping, the birds had managed to loosen their bonds on their feet. And they also started to tire. So slowly, Apai Aloi descended from the skies as the birds freed themselves. And at this point, he was over a neighbouring longhouse, Keeling's longhouse. And as he drifted down, he landed smack on Keeling's veranda, in front of Keeling's wife, Kumang. She was out on the veranda drying rice. Imagine her surprise to find a man coming from the sky descending onto her veranda. And she wasn't the only one. All the longhouse people that were in the fields saw, and they came rushing in and calling their families who were inside, and they all gathered around him and said, "Who are you?" And Kumang turned to Apai Aloi and said, "Who are you? Are you the son of God?" And Apai Aloi thought, and said, yes, I'm the son of God. Goodness me. That evening, Keeling decided to hold a meeting in the longhouse, and he asked his brother to go and knock on all the doors, on all the families' houses, to gather them to his place. And they all came, and he said, "People, what do we do? What do we do with the Son of God that's arrived and landed on our longhouse?" And one of the revered warriors of the longhouse said, and he turned to Apai Aloi and said, "Who are you? You're a son of God? Are you the son of the god of war?" And again, Apai Aloi thought, And he said, yes, indeed I am. Silence. And then Keeling called on one of the elders and said, "We must seek your counsel. Sir, what do we do in this event, this monumentous event?" And the elder stopped and thought, and he said, "Well, if this is the Son of God, the son of the god of war, then we must hold a party, a big celebration." And so it was decided. And for the next 3 days, the longhouse prepared. The women pounded the rice, popped the rice for the offerings, made tuak, and the men got all the other things ready that were necessary. And they all invited their friends and families and neighbouring villages from far and wide. And on the 4th day, the visitors started to arrive from early in the morning. They all gathered, coming to the longhouse to see this Son of God. Now, they put Apai Aloi at the end of the veranda on a dais, surrounded and covered by puak, the woven blankets. And they put one up so he was just hidden as well. And it just so happened that Apai Aloi's longhouse was invited, and his family came. And as they were walking up, they could hear people whispering and talking about the Son of God, excitedly and a little confused. Aloi could hear a group of women say, "Goodness, this Son of God is bloody ugly and old. This is not strange." Now Aloi, with a bit of a curious mind, thought, I'm going to check this out. I'm going to have a quick look. So he snuck up and peered behind the blanket. Imagine his surprise when he saw his father, or someone who looked very much like his father. So he turned and he ran to his mother and said, and I think that's our father. I think that's Dad behind the blanket." Now, Ndai Aloi said, "Don't be ridiculous, son. You know your father's dead. He went out weeks ago hunting and never came back." And Aloi said, no, I know, but I think you need to check this out. And so Apai Aloi did. She walked up to the dais, stuck her head around the blanket, and came face to face with Apai Aloi. Now, when Apai Aloi locked eyes with his wife, he said very quickly, Ndai! As you can see, I'm alive. And when you and the kids are ready to go home, I'd quite like to come with you. Now, the visitors overheard this, and word spread pretty quickly, and they gathered up their offerings and they left. Now, Keeling and the rest of the people of the Longhouse were not happy, and this revered warrior came along and picked Apai Aloi up and threw him off the veranda, down to the pigs and the chickens underneath. And as Apai Aloi was lying there, amongst the dirt, and the pigs and the chickens, scratched and bruised, he called out, Aloi, Aloi, come rescue me, because I will surely die if I'm left here amongst the pigs and the chickens. And Aloi did. Gathered up his father, put him on his back, and carried him home. And it is fair to say that Apai Aloi and her children were happy to see their father again.